Hello students, today you will be taking Cornell notes on nuclear energy. Cornell notes are the ones you write summary and advanced question, but you don't have to draw anything. Although I will show you pictures so you can understand it. Because it's a video, remember to rewind it if you need to, pause it, and then take the notes and then move on. Alright, here we go. So once you have your title, Cornell Notes Nuclear Energy, here's number one. Well, what is nuclear energy? Nuclear energy is when energy is made from breaking or joining of atoms, and there's two forms of nuclear energy. Let's look at those. The first kind of nuclear energy is called fission. Fission is when you send one atom and then hits another atom, but this other atom is of a very heavy element like uranium or plutonium. And when the atom hits the uranium or plutonium, it breaks apart, releasing more energy and more atoms, and it causes a chain reaction, creating a lot of heat that can spin a turbine and make electricity. This kind of energy is called fission. And then there's this other kind called fusion. Fusion is when atoms are put together, and then when you put together the atoms, you create energy. Humans do not have the technology yet to create fusion. Only the sun is a place where atoms combine because of the great gravitational force to create new atoms, and energy is released. So let's look back at the notes here. So those are the two forms of energy. For number one, you can write down what are the two forms of nuclear energy, or you can make up your own question, but make sure you have your own. Now I noticed that when it's video, sometimes people don't write the questions because we don't do it on the board, but you're expected to still do it. Let's move on to number two. Fusion. Fusion was one form of nuclear energy when energy is made by combining atoms. Currently, humans do not have the technology to do fusion yet. The only place we have seen fusion is the sun. The sun is the only place that makes fusion. Go ahead and copy this down and then make up a question for two. So just to refresh your memory, this is fusion, when atoms come together, like hydrogen and helium, and they're crushed together by great gravitational forces, and then new atoms are made, and then energy is released. The next one is fission. And fission is when you make energy from the breaking apart of atoms. We do have the technology to do that right now. Currently, we have a reactor called a fission reactor in San Onofre that makes energy from breaking apart atoms. So in this image, you see how the atom is being broken apart. This would be fission. We do have the technology to do that, and you've probably seen it with these things here, like in cartoons and stuff. These are nuclear towers where nuclear energy is being made. Speaking of, what are some advantages? Well, there is no waste. There is no air waste, though. There is solid waste. But this stuff that comes out is just evaporated water. And then you just need a couple atoms to make electricity. One nuclear power plant can make electricity for Los Angeles, and Los Angeles does use nuclear right now. And enough for Los Angeles for almost a year. So one atom will give you enough electricity for a year. This is a lot of energy. However, there are disadvantages. Let's look at those now. Some of the disadvantages are, in Japan they had a bad earthquake about 2 years ago, and their nuclear towers broke, and a lot of the waste, here's Japan right here, broke, and all the waste went into the ocean. Radioactive material, after the atoms are split, is extremely dangerous. This stuff right here, you have to put it in barrels, and it doesn't decompose for millions of years. For example, there was this city called Chernobyl, and they had an accident about 50 years ago, I believe. The radiation escaped into the city. Now, this is close to a very major city. It was so much radiation that people had to move away. And the people that were exposed to it got mutations, and most of them died. The city's still abandoned, as you can see, like this carnival. They just left everything there because it's just, you can't live there anymore for the next 1,000 years. And like I showed you these barrels, the waste that nuclear energy makes is very, very toxic. And that's why you see this radiation sign, because the energy radiates and can kill you. Gamma waves come out of it. Okay, so we left off on 3, fission, and making energy from the breaking apart of atoms. And of course, like I said, we do have a reactor nearby. It's actually near San Diego, between Los Angeles and San Diego. And we're thinking of closing it down since we saw what happened to Japan. And the advantages. One of the advantages is that it creates a lot of electricity with a little bit of fuel. But of course, the major disadvantage is that all the waste from those breaking of atoms lasts a long time, and it's radioactive. Radiation escapes it unless you dig a really deep hole and put it really deep into the earth, which would do with all the waste. Okay, go ahead and make your summary and your advanced question, and then move on to the next step. Have a great day.